Good afternoon. Today on Business Success in Six with Stacie, I have Kristen Salento-Ladke here from CityTins. Welcome.
Hi, thanks.
We are so excited to learn all about your business today. So how this works is I'm going to ask you 6 questions, and I have a feeling we're both talkers, so we're going to try and keep it to 6 minutes, but we're going to go. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Awesome. Here we go. Okay, the first question is, when people ask you what you do in your business, how do you describe it?
CityTins is, I have a visual, $30 tin filled with $200 worth of food and drink in every tin. Every coaster is $10 off your tab at the featured locally owned and operated restaurant. Ultimately, I have a retail product that supports locally owned and operated venues around the city, and it helps and directs people how to live local, how to dine local, and it's a nice resource, a perfect go-to gift, a kind of a one-stop shop deal. Supporting.
Totally. I love it. You're supporting local, like you said. And after through COVID, we know that we have to do that. Our community needs that. So thank you for doing that straight off the bat.
Thanks. Yeah, it's important, and we saw a lot of restaurants closing. The hospitality issue got hit, or industry got hit really, really hard, and so it is important how quickly things can go away if you don't support them, and that's kind of how you vote, right? By getting out and supporting, um, but having a great experience while you're doing it.
Totally. So you've been around a while. What was your business like before COVID, and how have things changed?
Oof, so much. So this will be our 14th. We are launching and embarking on our 14th year in business. And we started in what was then the Great Recession of '09. And ultimately just really wanting to support, again, local and use it as a fundraiser primarily. And we started it back in, so we launched our first tin in 2010. And it was just to function as a fundraiser for the kids' school, but we didn't realize that it would take on like a life of its own. And so now all the different iterations later, and all the different markets, it took off. And what was once supposed to be just kind of a part-time gig turned into a full-time, potentially bigger venture. So
Well,
it's
and that's what's so exciting too. And that's my next question is, what's the biggest way you impact the community? But you started by impacting the community. So could you share a little bit more, please?
Yeah. So because we started as a fundraiser, that was our one of the primary components of this, was that we were going to give back in every single avenue that we could when structuring the business itself. So initially we started with Goodwill Industries assembling our tin, doing light assembly. They had that department. And now we use people who are legally blind, believe it or not, through a company called Beyond Vision that we work with. So we give back in whatever capacity in all the different phases of operations that we can. And to date, through in-kind donation and fundraisers, we've donated more than $450,000 back into the communities that we serve.
That is incredible. I was not expecting all that. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is one challenge that you have faced since, I mean, starting in the Great Recession? Like, what is the biggest challenge you have faced, and how could other business owners learn from that?
That's a good question. Um, ultimately, I think that you have to account for what you cannot account for, and you don't know what you don't know. And so, with those variables being completely up in the air, what you can do is focus on what you do know and do what you do really, really well and do it better than anybody. So I know what my strengths are, and I know what my business partner's strengths are, and she handles her stuff and I leave that to her, and I handle mine, and we divide and conquer in that way. But ultimately, we then surround ourselves with the people that can get the job done and how we want it done. I have learned that you cannot, and especially as women and mothers and business owners, and we do it all. And there comes a point when you want to grow your business. If you really are wanting to grow, you have to delegate or let go of some of the control and put it in the correctly appointed hands in order to make it happen. And so you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, and you do what you do best and let other people do what they do best. And I think that is one of the biggest lessons I had to learn, because it's just Tara and I, and we do all of these things. But then as we started to grow, we met certain individuals. Yep, I want to work with that person. We have Amy who's in Madison, and she handles business development and restaurant procurement in that particular market and in our Fox Cities market. Great. She's part of the team. She's competent. She's so good at what she does. She's in ad sales. It was a perfect marriage. Okay, let her run with it and go do what she does best in a market that she knows. And so really choosing well-appointed people in the areas that you need to help you be your best.
That is incredible advice. Thank you. And I'll be replaying that over and over again to myself and everybody around me. So what does the future look like? And do you have an exit plan?
We ultimately are, we have what is kind of a buzzword now, the controlled growth. We've really tried to manage our brand, develop it to a point where, yes, we can sell this because it's rock solid and it can be replicated in all these different markets and in all these different guises. We know what works and what doesn't work. We've had the trial and error. And I think too, what business people can't be scared of failure. And if something doesn't work out, that's when you start growing, because you double down on something else or learn from it, of course, but you really find out quickly what works and what doesn't work, and then you don't make the same mistake again. So that's another good lesson.
That is definitely, we talk all the time about testing and measuring in your business. You have to test and measure and keep account of that. So thank you. So the final question is, all subjects open. What inspires you most?
That's interesting that you say that. When I was looking at some of your other interviews and looking at what Action Coach does and who they are and what you are, what was so fascinating is if you really sit and watch them collectively, if you start picking a few, and these are people who are successful. These are people who are really successful in their respective fields and in what they do. I love this format because you're asking the same 6 questions to all of these people over and over. And if you watch them consecutively and keep abreast of what everyone is saying collectively, there are patterns. What's your passion? Do what you're passionate about. Be intentional. What inspires you? There are so many threads of successful business people that it really sheds light on that when you do it in this format, which is really cool. I love this. It's quick, it's easy, it's sound bites, but you really do start to see patterns in what makes a business successful. So I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate what Action Coach is doing and allowing you to use this format to do that. So to answer your question directly, I love meeting and connecting with people when it makes you happy, when people are kind, when people help other people, and you can use your collective network and use your collective strengths. In business, I always would tell people, as a business, in marketing a lot, you do SWOT analyses on a company. So your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I always encourage people, do it on yourself. Do it on your person, on yourself as an individual. What are your strengths and weaknesses so you can stay in your wheelhouse, do what you do best, and really capitalize on everything good that you have to offer? Because while someone else can do a CityTins, they didn't. And it took what I have and what Tara has bringing to the table, because you are not replaceable. You might be able to replace the product and grow the business, and it might evolve and change, and someone else could absolutely do it, but they're not you, and they're not going to bring to the table what you do. And you have to value yourself and your time.
Absolutely. So I don't normally do this, but what inspires me is you and what you just said. So thank you so much. You have so much to offer the world, the city, our community. It's been a pleasure having you on today, Krista.
Thanks so much. This was great. I'm really happy that I got to see so many of the other people that you interviewed, and I will continue to do so.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we will continue to share you as we move forward.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.